the dollar is in big trouble. The dollar isn't the issue here. It's the treasury market. So as the dollar continues to inflate, it would only make the treasury bond worth more at redemption, because as we see more and more inflation and more debasing of the value of the dollar, the price of gold goes higher and higher and higher and higher. So the value of that treasury bond, in essence, at the end, is worth far more. The deflating or the devaluing dollar allows us to work down our debt at a much easier clip, but the treasury bond is redeemable in gold is what will create demand and integrity, and it replaces the high rate of interest as the inflation hedge. And you can't have high rates in this system because everything is inversely correlated that it all implodes. It's the only way to keep borrowing costs low. The dollar sucks. Our borrowing costs are low, but the rails of the treasury system allows people to have confidence in it the way they have for a very long time, because they know they can get it in gold at the end. And then she said, ultimately, we'll issue shorter duration treasuries backed by gold and stable coins issued off of all of them to get even further demand. But this idea of keeping borrowing costs really low enables the United States to then begin to reshore its manufacturing and grow our way out of this problem. It's either that or default or hyperinflate. There isn't like there's all of these choices, because that's what happens when you suppress interest rates for a long time and become the greatest debt, the country with the most debt in the history of the world. That's us. And, we're near over 200 trillion in debt. Remember, these are 50-year duration. So if the plan is to give it some runway, it really doesn't matter when you revalue it, I guess. It would be best if they revalue it before then, certainly make it much higher. They're not giving a certain number of ounces that are due at maturity. It's the face value. So if someone buys a $1 million bond, it's $1 million worth of gold in 50 years. Well, what will that be? Who knows what that will be? You look at the way that the inflated dollar has become worth so little, it may only be a handful of ounces by then. And that's silly to say that, but in 1971, gold was $35 an ounce. It's lost 100 times its value in the last 50 years. So what's 100 times 3,300? 1 ounce would be worth $330,000 in that same situation if we take the last 50 years with the same type of analogy. So could it be that at the end it's 3 ounces of gold they get back at $1 million? I'm not saying that's going to happen. But what I am saying is that over the last 50 years that the dollar has lost almost 100 times its value in gold. If it's a question of pegging it to the treasury market or not, I don't know of any other option that allows us to get out of this. So she did say in her book that ultimately it will be shorter durations also. This is the beginning. And maybe she says, look, we're going to start with 50-year treasuries. We're going to continue to accumulate. Gold's going to continue to rise. And we'll start issuing each year shorter duration treasuries. I'm not sure what their plan is, but I do know that if we don't do something unconventional like this, then it's going to be not just a hard landing. It's going to be a complete and total reversal of everything. That's when you get the reset, when the world completely loses confidence in this country and just dumps dollars and dumps treasuries. And that's your Operation Sandman moment, where that happens in a tsunami and rates spike to the moon and everything resets. So let's hope they have a plan to figure that question. And it's just like you to ask the tough questions. And it's a fair one. What would happen to the rest of the treasury? She does say that they would issue shorter duration over time. Maybe they say this marks the beginning of our sound money movement. We're starting with 50-year, and here's our plan to roll out shorter durations over time. China's been selling treasuries. They're now number 3. You look at
July 4th of next year seems a little close, though.
Yeah, but the Fed is already coming in and buying treasuries. They're saying they're doing quantitative tightening, but a month ago they came in and bought $48 billion in 10 and 30-year treasuries because no one was buying them. Then the next 2 weeks in a row, the Treasury came in and bought back longer duration treasuries by issuing short-term debt because no one's buying them. China's not buying them, and we're supposed to believe that the number 2 holder now is the United Kingdom. So 2 broke countries are buying each other's debt. It's like 2 drunk guys leaning on each other. And then, of course, you got the Cayman Islands as number 3 or 4. The point of it is that the people or the countries that have been supporting us are no longer doing so. In fact, they're selling or talking of selling. The Bank of Japan is hanging on an edge. right now. In fact, last night, and I can't confirm this, but Robert Kiyosaki texted me last night and said he was just told through credible sources that 2 or 3 of the members of the Bank of Japan committed suicide last night. Now, I can't confirm that. Robert, I love you. Thank you. But my point is that they have $1 trillion in our treasuries, and they've been talking about having to sell those treasuries to get their own house in order. So what happens when everyone starts selling treasuries? It's a big, big, big problem. It truly is, because the demand globally is not what it once was because of where we are. Because we have to inflate. And if we inflate and rates go higher, then those treasuries become worth less and less and less. And not only that, the face value becomes worth less and less and less through inflation. Holding duration treasuries right now is as stupid as a mud wall. And I think the world knows that. And I think God bless someone like Judy, who's smart enough to say something about it. We're all having our head in the sand to pretend that our indebtedness doesn't matter. It's a lie, and it does matter, and it's destroying the viability of this country and the demand of the U.S. Treasury market. So, destroy the currency and save the Treasury market is the only pathway that I see that allows us out of this quandary, or a hope of it, without literally resetting the whole system just like that. Gold is taking on a far different role than anything I've ever seen before, and it is becoming very obviously important to very, very, very wealthy, sophisticated, high up people in this country. But it's been that way around the globe for the last several years. We're just catching on a little bit later. And maybe that's why they have to be so quiet, because we're running out of runway. And if they are planning on doing something next July 4th, they have less than a year to accomplish all this. We're getting close. So yeah, keep your mouth shut, bring as much in as you can, drop a few crumbs, let people know, but don't be forthright about what you're doing. Gold is 6,000 years old. The central banks agree on gold. They don't agree on Bitcoin. The rise of quantum computing, all you got to do is Google the Google Willow chip, quantum computing, and you saw what he said. He said he was scared by it. And this is a guy that knows exactly what crypto is. He's a crypto, what do you call him, influencer, and a very good one. And Google Willow chip will do in 10 minutes what the fastest supercomputers in the world right now will do in 10 septillion years. Now, I didn't know what septillion was. It's 10, I think, to the 21st power. And it does it in 10 seconds. So, or in 10 minutes. So that's the Google Willow chip. Now, China just came out and said they have a chip that's even faster than the Willow chip. When you start to get to that level of quantum computing, is anything really safe? I don't know. And maybe that's the benefit of having this kind of stuff in a vault, old school, if you will. Now, I'm not saying that there won't be ways to use quantum computing to make the Bitcoin safe. Maybe there is. I'm not the right guy. But part of the reason I brought you on board here and wanted you here so badly was because of that, your open-mindedness. I have said for years that these two communities are far stronger, not only their portfolios, but their argument, if they embrace both sides, or in this case, all three sides of the coin, the front, the back, and the middle, the ridge. And there's somewhere in between. To your point, why not go down the ridge instead of one or the other? The mutual exclusivity is stupid, in my opinion, because if you never listen to someone else's viewpoint, you never learn, ever. And you're right when you say that we see the world very similarly. If it's a door of a house we walk in, we all walk in the same door, maybe for the same reason. We see the problems. Monetarily, fiscally, geopolitically, politically, morally, socially, we see it. So we go in that door. Now, the Bitcoin people seem to go this way to make a profit, and the gold people go this way to preserve. But why not find a marriage between the one that makes all the money and the one that saves all the money? Geez, your portfolio is a whole hell of a lot stronger. And your argument is stronger, and your knowledge base is stronger. So maybe, just maybe, they will do something along those lines. But what we see so far doesn't support that. It supports the fact that they understand it, and there's accumulation, and it could take a part in a sovereign wealth fund or in a strategic fund. But as it is right now, every central bank in the world's been buying gold. You cannot say that about Bitcoin. And in a world where quantum computing is accelerating and AI is accelerating so fast, what would you rather have if your life depended on it? $1 billion of gold in a vault or $1 billion on Bitcoin? Some people who we respect a lot may say we'd rather have the Bitcoin. Some people would say, I don't want anything to do with that digital matrix. I'm out. I want it right there where I can touch it and see it. So, I think sometimes even the old school things, there's reason that they've lasted the test of time. It doesn't mean we should ignore the new kid on the block. We shouldn't. But I think for this particular facet, to me, gold fits the bill maybe slightly better than anything, including Bitcoin, which might be a close second. But I think that the rest of the world's central banks don't quite agree with that yet.